The Township Board's business meeting. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, here. We have a big agenda today, so we'll get rolling here. Additions, deletions.
None, but may I recommend moving the lot split up, just because it seems like that's what's going to be a lot of public comment tonight, or no?
Well, public comment is almost at the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, the action item up to number one, no?
No, it's fine the way it is, because the public comment will come first.
Okay.
All right? With that, motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have that. Ms. O'Connor is not here today. She was excused to Florida. So we have presentation. Chief Carmack, if you would, please.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? I wanted to do a quick presentation of kind of an update where the department is, staffing, finances, and some equipment needs we have. If I'm just going to do a quick PowerPoint presentation, if you guys have any questions, I would prefer you just to ask as we go, not wait to the end so we can address them as we go. So the first slide is about what the police department does for the community. We participate in ALICE school training for the schools and our officers. We have a bike patrol program. We just started the DARE program again for this year, so John Canterbury is our DARE officer. He's doing a second year. He had a great year last year. Actually, Officer Delpiaz is right here, and she's the one who created the Groesville Safe Key program, which is a program for residents to put information about their houses. If there's a type of emergency, they can assist officers responding. She created that, and it's a free service to residents. We brought on some school crossing guards, which right now we are actually hiring school crossing guards if anybody in the TV world is interested in applying through the police department. Operation Chill, we're the bike safety program. When the kids ride their bikes to school wearing safety helmets, we give them free Slurpees from 7-Eleven, provided by 7-Eleven for free. The Facebook page and the Police Reserve program. Some of our partnerships, the 33rd District Court, the Downriver Community Conference, which is the DCC that overdoes a lot of the funding mechanisms for dispatch and the communication centers. Downriver Guidance Systems, which helps with some of the investigations we do, and they also provide the Narcan for our officers. So we work with the school district, Office of Highway Safety Planning, where we get some of our funding mechanisms for some of the programs, like you see that banner in front of the police department for Click It or Ticket, and the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. Some more, we're part of the DMA, which is the Downriver Mutual Aid, and these are some of the task force or groups that we participate in. Arson Task Force, the Downriver Mutual Aid Dive Team, which Deputy Chief Brozak is the commander for the dive team. The Downriver Hostage Negotiation Team, we have one of our officers right now that's in the application process to try to join that team. We have a member for the Downriver SWAT Team. And then we also participate in the Fatal Accident and the Major Crimes Task Force. The Major Crimes Task Force is not a DMA group, but if any city has a major incident in their city, they can call on that, and every city will agree to send 1 or 2 detectives for force multiplier and helping in large investigations. Some of our current revenue sources. So this is what we're working on for right now. So you have the voted, which is the 6.6 mils in that column. Is my mouse showing up there? Mm-hmm. Voted, and then you have what's collected due to the heavy rollbacks, and these are the expirations for some of those millages. We have another one coming up here in August. So the next slide is the proposed millage. You have on the left is the one I just showed you, and the one on the right is, in that blue highlight, is with the additional proposed millage for number 4 that should be on the ballots February 27th, I believe it is, for vote. So our current revenue sources, These are some of those things outside of the budget. We have the accreditation grant, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. One of my action items we're presenting is the Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, or the COPS grant. Stone Garden, which also pays for overtime for the officers to do, like, work the boat patrol or do certain things around the community. But they also gave us some grant money to buy some thermal binoculars that's not, free from the taxpayers. And that Operation Stone Garden is the one I just talked about for the overtime for assisting the state in some surveillance programs. SEMCA, self-explanatory, tobacco compliance grant. The Bulletproof Vest partnership is where the state pays for half of it, and we can pay for half of it using either forfeiture programs. And then this year we picked up the Walmart community grant. So that wasn't that much, but they paid for tourniquets and some first responder gear for the entire department, provided by Walmart, which was really greatly appreciated. So here's the big one. This is our budget, broken down in the yellow right here. This is the past. This 23-24 is our current, and this is our projected. So if you look across here, you'll see those at 6.6 with our current millages that we're operating off of right now, which goes back to what we talked about, the assessed mills, what we actually collect on it. And then right here is where our projections are. So if you look on our current budget, we're projected to need 5.87 mils, but our current funding mechanisms only provide 5.79. So the next budget that starts in April 1st, about a month and a half from now, you can see where our current projections are 6.1, and still we're only collecting. That's the reason. One of the reasons we're asking for the increase in the millage.
Hey, Chief, that column all the way on the right is the actual value to the department, right?
Projected value of a mill. So we're learning a lot of this process, and I'm not using this as a disclaimer, but we're not an economist, we're not a financial analyst, but these are the projections on the mills. It all depends on, we're projecting for the future, but I don't know if you could say the years down the line or those will be the actual mill amounts.
Sure.
Economy can
I
go
guess
up and
what
go
I'm
down.
asking is, you're
Yep.
saying in 2023, 2024, there'll be $733,000 dedicated to police, right? Give or
Well,
take.
that's what a millage is for all the mills. That's what the mill collected for all the mills we have in the township. That's what a mill goes at for the taxable value for the houses.
I see what you're saying.
So it'd
Okay.
be
I'm sorry, did I? Yeah.
Times 5.
Times the number of mills you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about
All
that.
right.
Did that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so, yeah, this isn't just police. The taxable value in the mills, we're using a 3% for, you see on the top here, as trying to be conservative. Depending on the economy, it can go up to 5 or lower. We can't predict that for the future. We can just use what we're using right now.
Yeah, it actually depends on just housing values. It's
Right.
not the economy.
Sorry, housing, I'm sorry, thank you. So this is kind of the next year, the 24-25, a little bit of a breakdown. So some of these numbers are assumptions. So the pay raises is contractual. Budgeting on in the healthcare is an assumption of 4% increase. Retirement 7%. Miscellaneous is about the only part of the budget that we can work with because it's not contractually obligated. There's our totals. It's a kind of a breakdown of the slide I showed before. Our current assessment is 5.7 mils, and we need 6.1 mils for the next one, showing, and then that's the taxable value again. So it's kind of showing the chart before, but a little bit more broken down on a lot of this stuff is contractually based that we can't work in. We're only control a small part of the budget. So this is our organizational chart. In October of 22, with the contract negotiations, we went to 12-hour shifts, which means we had to kind of reshuffle the deck on the organization of the department. So you have the 4 dispatchers. We actually have a 5th one right here, the records clerk, that fills in on overtime and desk relief. So we have 5 dispatchers, but one acts as a records clerk. The lieutenant spot right here, you can just put that person right here to show, so you have a balance of platoons, but the lieutenant oversees these 3 sergeants. Then you have a detective in the DEA position, administrative secretary, the ACO, and then you have, as I said, lieutenant, deputy chief, and chief. So this is our current structure, gone through with the police commission, and this is how we're operating now. This is a 24-person organizational chart. Any questions on that?
You said that's 24, but you're at 22 or 23 right now?
We're at 22 right now. So you can just take an example, like take these, I think the battery's down on this, but if you were to take off 1 or 2 patrolmen here and just shrink that down, that's what you see on the on the structure right now.
Thank you.
All right, this is what our organizational chart, if you go back to the last 20 years, on April 1st, the start of the budget every year, we went through and looked at the staffing levels in our department. Every single year, we had 24. Even a couple of years, we had 25, but that was because of staffing issues up to 2020. And then from 2020 on, we've had 21, 22, 23, 24. It's kind of circulated all around. No rhyme or reason where we're at right now. So right now, we're at 22. And of those 22, they're not all sworn. We have 5 dispatchers, an ACO, and a administrative secretary. So the repairs, this is kind of gets into our problems with the department here. You guys remember a couple different commission meetings, or a couple board meetings a year or two ago, you guys allocated COVID funds to us? Do you guys recall that? Well, here's what some of that money went to. Repair of the front parking lot, the sign out front, the fuel tanks was a big one. Our insurance carrier basically told us maybe 1 more year they were going to cover this, and they were not going to cover that was the original tanks that went in the 90s. So we had to get those replaced, and that was kind of an expensive project for us. But they're doing really good on it. They're almost done. Then paint the roof. You can see all the corrosion that was on there. So that's all funded by COVID money, no taxpayer money. So this is some of the stuff we want to do or we have done. Modernize the 1700 radio station. And what that is if you think about it, like Uta, she lives closer to Canada. If the power went out in her house, she's not going to have a cell signal. She's not going to have Wi-Fi. We still got to maintain this radio station. So we had to update that because that was really prehistoric outdated how we use that program. So we spent some money and updated it where it's more efficient with the dispatchers. It's kind of, they can type it in now and an automated voice puts it on there. The federal siren system, they weren't working properly, but we've updated them and we got them there. Actually, if you heard in the last couple of Saturdays, they're a little bit louder. I think that's just the technology going through there. On a presentation we're going to have for one of our agenda items, we're trying to upgrade, so a future project, upgrade the evidence room and the records room to accreditation standards. That's through a federal grant. Oh, thank you. Replacement of expired body armor through a federal grant. And they have some small things like our lobby bathroom. It seemed like every week there was flooding, leaking the roof, went through, rotted out all the drywall, came through the tiles, went all the way through, flooded the lobby bathroom. One of our garage door openers busted. Garage door opener runs about $1,600 to $2,000. I'm going to show you some photos later. Our HVAC system is one of the original systems. I think the Township Hall has a similar problem. The printers, laptops, and drones are outdated. So this is some of the repairs. This is our beautiful building with a nice brown roof there. So this door right here is our training room door. So when it rains, this door is shut. Do you guys see, can you notice those little white dots in the brown right there? That's the water coming through the door with the door shut and flooding the floor right here. We have no way to fix that. We can draw on our budget, but we're trying to be mindful of the spending. We've kind of fixed a lot of that. It's a different door. You got gaps underneath there. This is when you go to the front entrance to the police department right here, this big window right here. This is the cement underneath it. We're concerned that water is going to get underneath here and start raising this up. It is protected by the roof right here, the overhang, but that's one of our concerns and some of the repairs we need. This right here is the training tower on the fire department side. We work wonderful with them and trying to do our repairs. If you were to turn around and face the other way, it's even worse. But this roof is actually caving in over time, and we can't get anybody to fix it because we tried the My Deals program. We'll keep working on it, but that's going to take funding and money. That's not going to be a cheap.
So yeah, what you're saying is it really needs to be replaced, not, you can't fix that. Is that what you're saying?
Duct tape's not going to work.
No, I mean, you can't repair it.
It's got to be replaced.
It's got to be replaced.
And we've had some pretty wide-ranging estimates on it. So this is the front door of the police department right here. You can see this metal slab has got rust on it. This light that you can barely see in the corner right here doesn't even work anymore because of the water damage inside of it. This building has been let go for years. Here's our 1992 generator. The housing for the exhaust system is melted to the pipe. This is the original, I think it's a Ford V8 engine, hooked up to a Kohler gas generator to fund it. 1992, we pay for the updates. We get the We have a stress test done on it every year where they basically try to run it to see if it's going to fail or see what's going to go on it. We do all the oil changes. We have everything maintained on it. It's just a 1992 car still driving on the road if you view it that way. And this is when our power goes out in the city, this automatically kicks in and this runs, I think it's 90 kilowatts. It runs our building, all the necessary functions, and it's a concern of ours. Estimates for that are about 120 to 150,000, but you're not going to get one tomorrow. You're going to have to rent a whole bunch of ones pigtail together to facilitate that. This is an example of one of the garage door openers we have. Save costs because we are running a deficit. This is actually working with a zip tie. It works. All the exterior rust in the building is everywhere. This is an overhang by the parking garage. This is by the PR door. This is where the roof was leaking and it came through the roof, through the drywall, the fire break, through the ceiling tiles into the bathroom. So this all had to get fixed and replaced. This is the one that scares me the most. So Michigan Bell is still in service, right? This is our phone system that we run in the police department right now. This system, these phones right here, I'm not sure, and Joe, I don't know if this is when you were around, how old these things are, but the only way we can get parts from these are off of eBay. So to replace this entire system, actually Officer Dalpiaz and Deputy Chief Brozak are trying to take this project on. Most of the communities are going to VoIP systems or the internet, voice over internet. It scares me because if the power goes out on those type of systems, you still need power to run them versus power going through the Michigan Bell lines, correct? Our backup is a 1992 generator. So if the power goes out and the generator doesn't work anymore, we're going to be running these VoIP phones with no power. So we're trying to think of secondary ways to rewire the dispatch in the phone system and try to get quotes and work with Jamie Churches to try to get funding through the state for a generator. So we know we don't have the funds for it right now. These laptops right here, 2018 laptops, you can see we're actually wearing out. This is mine. This is mine from the road. We're actually wearing out the pad right there. This is the last one of the doom and gloom slides. This little toggle switch right here, that's the way we used to during the old 1700 radio stations. You flip that over, it put on the weather. That's how they ran it back in the day. That's connected by Herkimer radio by 2 wires. This is our siren system, and this is how we communicated the buses. You tone out different emergency, different avenues. Going back, if I can go back, that's it for my presentation, but I want to go back to staffing real quick. You hear a lot about our staffing levels. We have too many or we don't have enough officers. If you guys look at this right here, take out the dispatchers because they're going to be there when you need a dispatcher. That leaves these patrol people. This platoon right here, if one of these people are sick, go to training, have any type of problem, who's going to fill in that shortcoming right there? So that means another officers work 12 hours the next day or third day. They have to do a 16-hour shift to take in that empty spot for the officer. The officer coming in on the next shift has to come in 4 hours early. And the officers that are on their days off have to fill in those 4 hours on their days off. So we had it down where before we hired that extra dispatcher, which we do appreciate you guys approving, we were down to 21. We had it down, we were down to 19. That's 19, not 19 patrolmen. That's far minus 7, that's 12, minus the ones that work the DB, DEA, and the admin. And now we're down to a smaller number of road people. Imagine working 16, then being ordered on their days off. So it's not, if we want to send people to training and you have short platoons, how are you going to backfill those platoons but overtime? So we're about 133,000 in overtime this year. We're slowly getting our department up, but we're also paying overtime to train people and to move people around. So I kind of wanted to say that. And before I go to my next part, was there any questions on this PowerPoint? No? I just want to read you guys something. This right here is the 1948 minutes from one of the board meetings. So I've been going through our archives on my own time. I want to read you guys 2 sections from 1948. So this is 75 years ago, if I can read this to you guys. This is from Mr. Glover, don't know who he is, discussing with one of the minutes. Well, some of the citizens felt that it was good practice or safe for one policeman to patrol the island for midnight until 8 in the morning. And the board was urged by several people to put on an additional policeman and to avoid that situation, so that there could be 2 patrolmen from midnight on, or at least during some part of the night. Remember, this is 1948, and the population, I think, was about 800 people. They had 3.5 patrolmen. They didn't have the amount of call volume we had. They didn't have as many technology that we had. They didn't have the cell phones. They didn't have the demands on police officers. So the second part I want to read is from Mr. Mayville. Mr. Mayville, I'm not sure which one this is, but he may have been the chief later on in his career. I think he's a police officer. Remember, this is 1948, 75 years ago. It seems to us like they don't think any of our lives are worth $3,000, so that's about what the cost of a police officer was. The background is they're trying to hire another police officer. You people laugh, but we had to go into a house and take a shotgun away from a drunk man. Why can't he kill us? It is simple things like that. You walk up to a car, you don't know what you are running into. Even 75 years ago, they saw the importance of the police department and what challenges they had. It's the same as today. We don't advertise all the calls we have. We don't advertise all the bad stuff. But there is a need for police officers on the island. So, with that, is there any questions?
Any questions from anybody? Good, good. Thank you, Doug. I'm going to put, my presentation is short. It's going to be on medical ID bracelets for our senior citizens. I'll take care of that at my report, so we can move on. Public comment. 3 minutes. Give your name and address. And yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Bill Tuinier. I live at 9595 Island Drive. I'm here today about the lot split on West Shore, which includes condo drawings in your packet, I believe.
Okay, I would say to you, although those are in there, I don't know why they were in there, because it's not before us tonight. It is just the lot split.
Right. So in knowing that, though, that they're there to be built, no one's approached our community at all. We are not against the development, if it's the right development for the neighborhood. Jewel Colony is an historic homeowners association, one of the first homeowners associations in Michigan dating back to the 1920s. Jewel Colony was declared an historic site in 1986. As an historic site, we fall under the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. This property on West Shore, without an egress, will become part of Jewel Colony and must conform to the zoning codes, which are single-family homes. This would be to preserve the historic value of the properties. 28 condos is unacceptable. 3 points I have. One would be, was there ever an impact assessment done on this piece of property? Which, they're going to be using Jewel Colony's water main, the sewer system, which are all old. Will we end up with sewer problems? Right now, the west end of Island Drive, which somebody needs to check, but the west end of Island Drive, there are 5 spots in the road that are sinking. One is a really big sinkhole, and my guess is there's already a sewer problem, and it's not being addressed. There's a water pressure problem in the summertime, and we're going to add more people to the same water main. It doesn't even sound right. An increase of 30% traffic on the streets where our kids are playing. We don't have sidewalks in the neighborhood. I know most of you know that, but that'd be a huge increase in traffic. Lastly, the roads were leading up to the site were paid for by the homeowners, and putting heavy equipment on the roads are going to destroy the roads. So maybe the contractor should be bonded to those roads if it gets that far. We like you to consider tabling this split, to ask the builder if R1D would be fine for the purchase. Because my guess is that he can't do this without building the condos, and that's why the condos are in your packet. If the lot split moves forward, all of Jewel Colony should be notified, not just the homes within 500 feet, because this is going to affect the whole colony, all the roads.
30 seconds, sir.
Right. Well, I'm done. I just,
No.
yeah, I'm good. So, thanks, Jim, and
No, and That's understood, but it's going to be an issue down the road, because it's not an issue tonight.
Right, I get that, but the lot, the reason I'm here is the lot split may not occur if they couldn't build condos, and that's the whole thing. That's why those are in your packet. If he had to build only 9 homes, which is about what it could fit, I don't think he can afford to build, we shouldn't be talking about a lot split. That's why maybe it should be tabled to talk to the builder to make sure that's what he wants to really do.
Thank
Thank
you. Sir, did you have your hand up? How are you, John?
John Rathel, 7861 Bellevue Road. I wasn't going to say anything about this, but because of Chief Carmack's presentation, I'm going to say a couple things. I've served literally on every commission in this township except public safety, and there's a reason. I know nothing about it, and I leave it to the professionals. And I can say that we have Joe Porcerelli, who knows policing, and we have Chief Carmack that knows policing. We have a lot of professionals here to address all the things that were presented. And we also have a lot of residents that have dug deep into public safety. We're kind of blessed to have that kind of knowledge. Whether everyone agrees, I hope not, because we got to get to what's best. So I'm really glad that we have Joe and we have Doug and we have residents that care deeply about this. I care deeply about the airport. But what I wanted to say is, I don't want to talk about why I don't have Facebook, but I have an unbelievable wife. I married up big time. And what my wife does is that she will be on Facebook and she'll say, John, oh, you got to see this. And it's always about my grandchild going here and there, and I look, oh, it's cute, because, I don't get all the pictures. Or something about the rec department that has something going on, we have to do this, it's great. But she came to me, she said, John, she goes, there was a trustee that posted something on Facebook that was amazing. And I'm like, what? Show me. And it was Trustee Yeager, who very, I don't want to say elementary, but I understood it, so it had to be elementary, on mills and how we fund our township. And my wife looked at it and she said, I didn't really understand how all this worked and how the money is spent and how we raise taxes on ourselves and what a mill is and how it works and this and that. And she was very excited about that. And I just wanted to come and thank Jameson for doing that, because I've never seen in all my years anyone really get up there with a whiteboard. I think he had a beer in his hand, and it was like, okay, and it was great. And I think I texted you, I don't know if you got it, but
30 seconds, John.
But I just wanted to personally thank you, Jameson. That was probably one of the best things that I've ever seen a trustee do in all of my years of being around here. And I appreciate that gesture and that education to the residents. So if you haven't seen it, I don't know how you get to it. Ask my wife, or maybe Jameson will do it. But thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, John.
Anyone else? I can't see around.
Kevin Flavin.
Yeah, can you see around the podium? I can't. Good evening, Kevin.
Kevin Flavin, Park Lane. First of all, I'd like to say it's nice to see such a large group of people at the meeting this evening. And I had a question about item number 10, which I believe is the sale of surplus property that is behind the Hoi Pan, or what was the Hoi Pan restaurant. And I was wondering where that money, should the property be sold, where will that money go? And what will it be used for? Will it go to the DDA, or will it go to the general fund? The other part of that is there are a number of parcels behind in that run. I think there's some discrepancy with the county their website on the size of that property. I think they're saying it's over an acre, and I think we're saying it's under an acre. And I'm curious if that will have any effect on trying to sell the buildings that abut with it. And also because it's a landlocked area, how will people have access to it? So, thank you.
Thank you. Ross, did you get that? Anyone else? Good evening.
So I wrote this today. Normally I just go off the cuff with you guys.
Amen.
Margaret Bellevue, Margaret Shelton. Yep. Sorry, I was in a hurry to read. So this topic's not on the agenda today. However, there's
Okay, this public comment right now is just for agenda items.
Oh.
We have a second public comment for anything.
for anything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
To be fair, I don't think John's comments were on.
Yeah, that's why I
agenda
wasn't sure.
Well, I think he
items
was
either.
he was talking about the presentation of Doug's,
Okay.
which was the millage.
Well,
Yeah, so, anyway, you can, I mean.
no.
So start out by talking about an agenda item, then segue to what you want to talk about.
No.
And then I'll
Well, I
stop.
could because I could,
go
but no,
ahead.
I'm
Just
not
go
going to
ahead.
do.
Just
No.
go ahead.
I'll wait. It's fine. I'll follow the rules.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on agenda items? Okay. With none, we'll move along to the consent agenda. David?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda 23-101, which consists of minutes of the January 22nd, 2024 regular meeting, minutes of the January 17th, 2024 special meeting, minutes of the January 22nd, 2024 closed session, check registers dated through February 16th, 2024, adopt the 2024-2025 Township Board meeting schedule, Township staff holidays for fiscal year 2024 to 2025, and authorize Sourcewell as a bid source.
Second?
Okay, any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve consent agenda 23-101, which consists of the minutes of January 22nd, 2024 regular meeting, minutes of the January 17th, 2024 special meeting, minutes of the January 22nd, 2024 closed session, the check register dated through February 16th, 2024, to adopt the 2024-2025 Township Board meeting schedule, Township staff holidays for fiscal year 2024-2025, and to authorize Sourcewell as a bid source. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda passes. All right, action items. David, I believe you're first up.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the issuance of, of special assessment refunds for 4 separate districts, excuse me, within the township, including Hickory Waterman, Haley Crescent Graves, Anderson, and the bridge raising on Church Road in the amount of approximately $366,494 as required under Township Ordinance, Chapter 230, Section 230-13G.
Support.
Thank you. These are special assessment districts that apply to the residents that who resided within within those special assessment districts. And there is a provision that says, basically, if there's money left over at the end, it gets allocated back to the properties that are within that district. Township, let's see, refunds will be issued to approximately 221 parcels, ranging in amount from $1,400 to $2,450 per parcel.
Is there a breakdown of which special assessment districts underspent?
These are the special assessment districts that are.
But it's a total of $366,000. How much of that is from each?
For each one.
Right.
For each one.
Like, is there one that just didn't spend most of the money, or is it a small amount from each, or?
So for the bridge raising, the 366,000, that's 224,000, and the remainder is the other three. The other three special assessments were one special assessment district that had three different parts to it, the project, and they're in one fund. And that is $142,000. And the bridge raising was a separate debt service fund, and that was $224,000.
Okay, so this was projects that have been completed under cost.
Correct.
Okay, great.
And they have been in
Good names.
interest-bearing accounts during this time until the money is refunded to the current property owners as of today.
Right, because it's returned to the parcel.
It's to it's to the current owner of
Right,
those parcels, yes.
All right, good job, DPS.
Other questions? Joe, did you have a question? Okay. See none. We have a motion to approve the issuance of special assessment refunds for 4 separate districts within the township, including Hickory Waterman, Haley Crescent Graves, Anderson, and the bridge raising on Church Road in the amount of approximately $366,494 as required under Township Ordinance Chapter 230, Section 230-13G. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? They will get their refunds. Thank you. All right. Joe, I believe you're next.
Yes, recommend Township Board approval for the purchase of Space Saver storage equipment and award the installation contract to the Casper Corporation in the amount of $58,809.45.
Support.
Thank you.
Okay, the history on this, bear with me, I apologize, it's kind of long, but Doug had to explain in this exactly how this came about, so you'll see why it's a little longer than a usual purpose and explanation. In 2023, the Groh Police Department applied for a Federal Community-Oriented Policing Services COPS grant. The purpose for the submission was, in part, to date, our records and evidence areas making the accreditation compliant under Michigan Association of Chiefs standards. So some of you know they're going through the accreditation program and finishing it up, and this is part of it, so you understand what that accreditation means. On 11/2 of 23, the GIPD was awarded $132,789. Our current budgetary limitations would not allow the department to make these required improvements without additional financial support, understanding that this is a grant. As part of the process, GIPD received a project quote from Casper Corporation, who sells and installs Space Saver products. Space Saver is preferred equipment for the project, and GIPD has used their products prior with great satisfaction. GIPD contacts Space Saver Corporation directly and was informed that Casper Corporation is the only distributor of space saver products within the region of the country. In an attempt to increase project savings, GIP discovered Sourcewell, an out-of-state government purchasing program for sourcing products at a greater discount, of which the Groh Township is not currently a member of. After some discussion, Sourcewell has agreed to honor the 35 to 40% government discount for using one of the approved vendors, Space Saver, resulting in a significant price reduction. And if I just may add, so you understand this further, we have a records room, and the records room is very specific, and it's obviously confidential area. It's supposed to have certain differences in it than other rooms inside the police department. And the accreditation program for Michigan, if you want to get accredited, your police department, you have to do certain things. And one area is the evidence room. And, the records and evidence area. So we have to have that done correctly in certain ways, like there's certain locks that have to be on certain things and only certain people can open certain things. So what this does is it makes it with the best practices so you can understand thinking, well, what is this? It is paid for without department funds, and it's what's needed that they pass the final part of the accreditation program. So thank you for your time on that one. I know it's a little longer than what you're used to, or what I'm even used to.
And in space, if you're not familiar with space saver type equipment, you can put, there'll be a lot more storage in a small area than what you could do with file cabinets or single facing shelving. So you get a lot of bang for the buck with this. Any other comments or questions on this? All right. So we have a motion that the Township Board approve the purchase of Space Saver storage equipment and award the installation contract to the Casper Corporation in the amount of $58,809.45. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chief, you have your Space Saver. All right. All right, Kyle, I'm going to turn it over to you, but we can flip around if you want to flip around 3 and 4.
Sure, yeah, let's do that. I'll start with action item number 4. Let me just go down to find it. Motion to approve lot split number 385 at West Shore Golf and Country Club, 22843 West River.
Second.
Thank you.
I'll read out the history. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yep, go ahead.
I'll read out the history, purpose, and explanation here, and then maybe add a little more context. The Planning Commission held a meeting on January 17th, 2024, and made a recommendation and approval of lot split number 385, West Shore Golf and Country at 22843 West River, with the following conditions. None of the 8 pages of material on future development are part of any consideration, and the split is contingent upon an assessment being granted upon any sale of the property. So that's the history, purpose, and explanation written out there. I think I mentioned at the last board meeting, it was a 6-1 vote, so it wasn't unanimous. I did vote in favor of moving this lot split forward. This has been a conversation that has been going on since before I was appointed. I have not spoken with West Shore folks or the person that wants to purchase this property, but from the outside, it seems like part of the miscommunication that's happening here is between those two parties. So for me, actually, this lot split could make it simpler for the development that's being considered there to actually be formally proposed to residents, et cetera, and thought of in that way. And to be clear, that whole process is another one, a zoning application, a rezoning application that has notification requirements, et cetera. So bottom line for me is this simplifies the process. In approving a lot split tonight, we're not approving any development, to be very clear. A lot split would only allow basically for one house to be built there, and even that would be a big stretch because they'd have to apply for a bunch of other things just to build one house there. But at least for me, this just simplifies the process of communication, of figuring this out, moving it forward. It does not mean that we're approving any development there. So happy to answer questions, but that's my perception
Second to
of
the
where I'm at.
motion. Was there a second? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I guess my only comment would be you'll see this come out in the other action items tonight. I'm a pretty big proponent for individual property rights.
I also think Groh does need to start doing some things to encourage people to live here and provide affordable housing. So the current mean cost of a home in Groh right now is $349,950. So when you add in the taxes, that's a payment of $3,000 a month. So someone paying $3,000 a month for a house would have to make about $10,000 a year. So, or I'm sorry, $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. I wish, right? We'd all have beautiful houses. So, unfortunately, we're really pricing young families with children off the island with the cost of our homes. And whether this lot split and adjacent to Jewel Colony is the correct place for this development, I don't know. And maybe when we come to discuss what actually goes there, I'll have a totally different opinion about it. But as it stands now, I mean, it's Westcroft's property. I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't provide the split. So I'm in support of this. And once, the purchaser or whoever ultimately comes to own this split lot comes forward with what they plan to do there, it might be a very different conversation, right? So,
Thanks, Jameson. Joe?
I thought he had something.
Oh.
Carl, I thought your hand was up.
No.
If I could just make a comment, and I'm not going against what any of these gentlemen are saying, but what I have to look at, I'm actually in the same position that some of you are in, and where I live. So I spoke to somebody. Was it valid? Was it proper? Is it legal? Is everything that the gentleman has done correct? And the Planning Commission says yes. This doesn't mean that when I have an opinion vote possibly in the future, that my opinion is going to be the same opinion or could be a different opinion. Again, to be open, I have this going on behind my house for a senior citizens development. And I personally will have to recuse myself from any board matters because I could not vote on anything like that because my personal opinion obviously is going to override what the authority I have on this board. But I get it. I'm going through the same thing of senior housing, and if I get this right, and please, Dave or Jim, correct me, the possibility of multi-family housing, but we couldn't stop the developer from purchasing the property behind us. We can only, if us as a group where we live want to fight this, then we have to fight the next step. The next step is totally separate than the first step because by law, if a person has the right to buy it, he has the right to apply for a split. And as long as everything is correct, that's why tonight I'm going to be voting yes, but I'm explaining to you that there are no legal or other improper issues that may be going that I feel to vote no on. So I'm just trying to be straight with you. And once again, I mean, I feel what you're going through. I'm going through the exact same thing because, I look at woods behind me and I may not. I may not look at woods behind me. So, anyway, Jim, that's
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Well, I'll just actually where Joe looks at it behind his house, I look at across the street from my house. So we're going through the same type of thing where property is for single-family homes, but for somebody to buy it, and they're going to want to put up multi. It's a process. In this case, they're splitting off from West Shore a piece of property. Looking at the split, there's really nothing to argue on the split. The split is the split, that's fine. It certainly, I can't emphasize enough, does not mean that they can build whatever they want. It's zoned for single-family homes. If this, we'll see if this split goes through and the purchase goes through. If they want to do something other than single-family homes, then they have to come back to planning and do a lot of talking to planning. Planning's going to make a decision. That comes to us, and we would have to approve or disapprove whatever they're bringing to us. So we do understand. I think I think we all understand, whether we're going through it or not ourselves. We do understand what you're facing over there, but this in no way does anything other than split the lot of West Shore. It does not give any, it would not give any reason to believe that they can go and build multifamily dwellings at this point. So that's a whole nother discussion. I certainly would hope, and I think you will, be attentive to that as we will. So that's all I have to say. Anybody else?
I'll just finally say I'm
Yes.
grateful to everyone that's come here and the comments that have been made. I think it's going to help any possible thing moving forward be better. And so just want to say that.
Okay. With that, we have a motion to approve a lot split number 385, West Shore Golf and Country Club, 22843 West River. I have to ask, is it West Shore Golf and Country Club?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Is that the correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
West Shore Golf Club.
I thought it was West Shore Golf Club.
Oh,
That's
yes,
why
you might be right. I'm sorry.
I think it is.
I just want to get that for the record straight. So West Shore Golf Club, 22843 West River Road, all in favor? Aye.
I think we have to do a roll call for this, right? Or no?
No,
No?
no.
Jim, it does say the owner on the West Shore Golf Country Club. It just says that on the.
Is
does
it
say
Country
that.
Club?
Yeah, it does say country. Well, it does say this on the
On the tax,
description,
on the tax description?
the tax.
I
Yes.
thought, okay, I just wanted, Brian, just for the record, make sure we get the right name in there,
It does
that's
say
all.
that. Slash.
Yeah.
It says golf.
Okay.
/ country club.
Okay. Anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The lot split goes through. Thank you. And thank you for coming out today, all the residents that came out.
Just a reminder, pay attention to planning commission meetings. I don't know,
That's what I said, yeah.
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 When it's going to,
Yeah. Well, he has to bring it back. There's nothing there's nothing
right.
there now. Yeah. Okay, Kyle.
Okay, we'll go back to action item number 3. I'd like to make a motion to approve a special land use permit for a dog daycare boarding facility at 9510 Groh.
Support.
The history, purpose, and explanation of this is the Planning Commission held a meeting with a public hearing on January 17, 2024, and made a recommendation and approval for the dog daycare boarding facility at 9510 Groh. No public comments were made. This one was unanimous. And just a small additional history. They looked at another area in Commerce Park Airport area, and then they ended up going back to this one. So this, I think, we'll finally get this approved.
Okay, so we did, I thought we did approve the old one, and since this is a new location, we have to approve it again, because it's a different area. So that's the only change. We all, saw the daycare and what they were going to do, and which was wonderful. I think the island will really appreciate this.
So I just want to
Yes.
clarify. So this came before ZBA as well, because of setback. So the ZBA meeting is this current building, right? What the ZBA okay, all right. Because I was like, I swear I've seen this like 3 times now. So okay, all right.
I think
seems like 6,
I thought maybe I was losing my mind.
No, Jimmy, I think the owners just like to come back here.
I
And
just love going to board meetings. Okay, thank you.
Other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion to approve address 9510 Groh Road for a dog daycare and boarding facility. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a new facility for today. Is this it? Is it? Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Now we get to, let me just make a note here. All right. It's now the Zaid show. Zaid, you might as well come up here. Our first item is a motion for the Township Board to approve new restaurant equipment for the Water's Edge Restaurant as listed in Attachment A to replace old equipment at a cost of $32,304. I hope everybody picked up the new list, the first packet that went out. The items weren't, you couldn't see what they were purchasing, so we did get that taken care of. So that's the motion.
Support.
Thank you. And Zeta, not being the liaison or familiar with this, I'll let you talk about it rather than me.
Yeah, so the equipment that we currently have in our Water's Edge facility is just very outdated. You look at a lot of the equipment, also, it was replaced over time. The old tenants, Smokies, had purchased to replace some of the old equipment. And a lot of the things that you kind of see in there, you know, from an oven or a fridge, they're either not working or they're kind of on their last legs. So it's things that need to be purchased in this restaurant to assure that our new tenant can start the right way. And it is something that we had in the contract when we approved Tipsy Fish coming in. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Zaid on this? Again, it's like we heard earlier, it's just equipment doesn't last forever.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I know over time we've seen repair after repair after repair, and you can only repair something so long.
Yeah, exactly.
So it not only wears out, but it also becomes outdated for use. So, any questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion for the Township Board to approve new restaurant equipment for the Water's Edge Restaurant as listed in Attachment A to replace old equipment at a cost of $32,304. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We will try and get some new equipment. Zaid, thank you.
Sounds great.
All right, All right. Motion for the Township Board to approve the purchase and installation of a new makeup air unit for the Water's Edge Complex Restaurant from Guy and Missler, Inc. to replace older, inefficient unit at a cost of, excuse me, $33,975.
Support.
Thank you.
So the current makeup air unit we have at our facility is roughly 25 years old. And I had, some people come out, different contractors come out and check out the unit to see if there's anything we can do to fix it up. But it's kind of one of those things that's just putting a Band-Aid on it. It's something that needs to be replaced. When you actually look at it logically, it just, for safety reasons, why being the makeup air unit is what, is sucking out all the smoke, all the old air out of the restaurant and bringing in new air. So when it doesn't work efficiently, you can bring contaminants in, or it's not taking out everything that it needs to be taking out. Even going up on the roof and checking the unit myself, there's a lot of exposed wires and that kind of stuff. The cost to fix the unit would be, I believe what I was told would be anywhere from roughly half to 70% of the cost of just purchasing a new unit. And this is something that's going to last anywhere from another 20 to 25 years. A much more efficient unit. It has a longer lifeline than the one we have currently. So, this is probably something that needed to be done a few years ago, but I just really wanted to make sure we get this done because, it's just something that's going to last a long time, and just needed to be done.
Okay, and this unit is just services the restaurant. It's not for the whole area.
Yes, it just serves the restaurant. And the current unit we have too, and I forgot to mention, one of the issues we have is there was no cooling unit attached to the makeup air unit. So what would happen was, in the summer months, all of this air would get sucked out. But then all of the air that would be getting sucked back in is just hot air. So there was a lot of issues in the kitchen where the kitchen would just heat up. I was told anywhere from 90 to 100 degrees in the kitchen sometimes. So with this new makeup air unit, with this cooling system, all of the air coming in is going to keep the kitchen cool and just a safer environment for people to work.
Yeah, and again, especially for the newer members of the board, this again, I've seen repair after repair after repair come before us on this equipment, and well, there's a good right there where you start choking up when you don't have the right air
Exactly.
flow. But it's just time for it to be replaced, I guess. Huh? Other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we have a motion for the Township Board to approve the purchase and installation of a new makeup air unit for the Water's Edge Complex Restaurant from Gee and Missler, Inc. to replace older inefficient unit at a cost of $33,975. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. We'll get that fixed. And lastly, for Water's Edge, we have a motion to approve the hire of Ashley Hunter as the new Maintenance 2 employee for the Groh Recreation Department.
Support.
Thank you.
So Ashley Hunter will be replacing the job that has been open since, I believe, August 31st of 2023, after our previous maintenance worker, Mark Tiso, retired. So we're bringing her in, and we did interviews, and we had a couple of good options, but we decided to go with Ashley just because of her skill trade. She has a lot of skill in a lot of different things. You could, as she calls herself, a Jill of all trades. And that's kind of something we need at the rec department, plumbing, electrical, maintenance, a lot of different things you have to have in order to work that job efficiently. And she was actually recommended by John Keim. He spoke very highly of her too. And when we interviewed her, everyone was very impressed with her. So she's just going to essentially be filling that role that was left when Mark Tiso retired.
Okay.
So it's not like you're on a mission to hire people named Ashley.
No, exactly. I was thinking about that too.
You were doing good until you mentioned John Keim.
Oh, no, okay.
Very good. Yeah, that is, if you have a Jack or a Jill of all trades, that's exactly what you need. And certainly Mark was like that. So that's good you could find somebody. Questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve the hire of Ashley Hunter as the new Maintenance 2 employee for the Groh Recreation Department. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Let's see, where are we here? Hire, okay. All right, David.
Thank you. This is, need my glance, this is a long motion.
Yeah. You want me to read the?
No, I'll get it. I'd like to make a motion that states, whereas the Township Dangerous Buildings Officer inspected the condition of the property at 20685 Meridian on November 11th, 2023, and as a result of this inspection, issued the property owner a notice of dangerous building dated December 21st, 2023.
Dave, I'm just going to stop you for a minute.
Right.
You skipped 8,
Yeah.
you're doing 9. Is
9205.
that, you want to go ahead with that, because we can, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Since you're in the midst of it, do it, and we'll go back.
Okay. And whereas no action on the part of the property owner has occurred, and whereas a hearing under Chapter 44 of the Township Code of Ordinances occurred on January 3rd, 2024, at which the owner or owner's representatives of the property were not present the hearing officer rendered a decision requiring the building to be demolished. Whereas no action has been taken by the property owner within the specified time frame allotted for compliance with the aforementioned mandate. Now therefore be it resolved, the hearing officer is requesting that the township enforce the demolition of the structure and foundation, Phase 1 and 2, in compliance with Section 44-13 of the Groh Township Code of Ordinances. In addition, the Groh Township Board authorizes the Department of Community Development to advertise for bids for the demolition of this property and authorizes the township manager to enter into a demolition contract to enforce the demolition order dated January 3rd, 2024 for 20685 Meridian, Groh, Michigan 48138. Parcel ID 73014010190003, and furthermore to assess the cost as a lien on the property in accordance with Township Code 44-14.
Support.
I think possibly the history needs no more than to look at the pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm this property is quite prominent in being right on Meridian. So we've seen it for years. I
did. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was
Kyle.
just curious. I mean, I as long as I've been on the board, something like this hasn't happened. So I am happy that this sort of thing is being done. Have we been doing this before? Or?
Oh, yeah. It just, we don't have, thank goodness, we don't have that many buildings that we have to actually go in and tear down. The old apartments over here on Rio, we had that. But yeah, we do this. That's what we have a dangerous building officer. We don't use them all that much, thank goodness. But this happens to be where we have two.
I have a couple of quick questions. Has there been any contact with the homeowner, or are they just like, nah?
Yeah, I can kind of give you a brief
if you would,
synopsis
Ross.
of-
Yeah, maybe I should wait till after your presentation.
No, that's totally fine.
Sorry.
So yeah, we've been working on this for about 4 months now with these two buildings. And just to kind of give a brief background of what we've been doing. So the building, once we are aware of a property that's kind of in disrepair, we have our building inspector to go out there to inspect. And then they issue notices by both posting it on the property and to the owners. With this one, it was kind of confusing because there's two different names underneath the assessor's record. But either way, we kind of covered all of our bases. And then the building inspector shares his inspection notes with our dangerous buildings officer. And then our dangerous buildings officer conducts an inspection as well. And then he provides notice by posting on the property and to the property owners. And in that notice, it says, on this date, come meet with us at Township Hall to discuss, what our inspection results and how it pertains to your building, and what do you plan to do to help either bring it into compliance, or if you want to demolish it so that we don't have to. Unfortunately, for both, and this is the case for both properties, the property owners did not show up. So our dangerous buildings here officer deemed had us demolish it. So that's what's before you today. And we waited 30 days after the hearing to hear back. We've gotten some phone calls back and forth from some people interested in the property and both property owners. I'd invited them to come today. I'm not sure. There might be some, I'm not quite sure. But I know that in the ordinance it states that the property owners can give their case regarding their property, which might sway your decision tonight. But so I'm not sure if this is the time to either ask for that, but for them to come up if they are here. I'm not sure if they are, but and then
Well, let's ask.
Yeah.
Are they?
No one's here?
No one's here.
Okay.
just making sure.
Have they been paying taxes on this property or no?
I'm not quite sure. It should be in the assessor. It should be in the packet here. I know that we've been maintaining this property. The township's been paying to maintain this property for quite some time. It's been vacant since 2013. So Carl Moore, our landscaping contractor, goes out there about once a month to go cut the grass. We're going to try to make that more routine because, within that month period of time, it starts to look overgrown, and the neighbors have kind of stated they're like, "We'd like to
And
have
that's
more."
what you mean by taking care of it. We've been cutting the grass. It's quite a big piece of property.
Yeah.
Probably the house is the least part of it. It's a very nice piece of property.
Yep.
But the house has been vacant for a long time.
Russ, I think in a number of communities, when the local government, whether it's a city or township, has to go ahead and mow and take other certain steps, that goes on the tax rolls.
Yep.
So that this isn't something where the township is mowing somebody's property.
Right.
This is something where they're doing it to maintain neighborhood aesthetics, and that's going to come out of rather expensive, as I understand it. Most communities charge a premium to come out and do your lawn. That is something that's going to be recouped when the property is ultimately purchased and the taxes are paid, so that this isn't a freebie.
Well, and in fact, it is when the taxes are paid, so, I mean, they go on every year.
Right.
So if they're paying their taxes, that we've recouped our money. If they haven't, we'll get it when the land sells.
And I just like, then after 60 days after, if we do agree to demolish the home, they have 60 days to comply to that demolition order. And then after that 60-day period, we do go out for bid. And once we award that bid and demolish the home, those costs would be put as a lien onto the property too. So, and I have a few pictures here. I mean, it looks pretty good from the front. And then as we go to the side, you see these windows have been open for quite some time, and that creates damage. And this is a dangerous building because I was walking the property and I stepped on a nail and it went through my shoe. So, so it is a dangerous building. Yeah, just kind of open windows. And then this has been, it looks like there were some beer cans in there. There are some people that have been there recently. So this is attracting people to come in.
And the wrong type of use.
Exactly. So, any further questions?
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just have a comment, just real quick. It's sad when I see something like this on Groh. When I was a little kid, I don't know if anybody even here remembers that, but there was a horse farm, and that was really a premier house, believe it or not.
Yep.
I believe the gentleman was from the big furniture store local, and he owned numerous ones. And actually, the young man was in my class at Groh here all the way through from kindergarten. And it was really a premier house. They had it was beautiful because it was right across the street from you probably don't remember, the old youth center. And the old youth center was torn down, but we used to see, I mean, it was really like a fancy house. We used to see horses out there, and it just, I mean, it's
when
sad.
it was taken care of. I mean, it was a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah. It's just sad to see,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, this appears to be a resolution format, so we will do a roll call vote. Whereas the Township Dangerous Building Officer inspected the condition of the property at 20685 Meridian on November 11th, 2023, and as a result of this inspection, issued the property owner a notice of dangerous building dated December 21st, 2023, and whereas no action on the part of the property owner has occurred, and whereas a hearing under Chapter 44 of the Township Code of Ordinances occurred on January 3rd, 2024, at which time the owner representatives of the property were not present, the hearing officer rendered a decision requiring the building to be demolished. Whereas no action has been taken by the property owner within the specified time frame allotted for compliance with the aforementioned mandate. Now therefore be it resolved, the hearing officer is requesting that the Township enforce the demolition of the structure and foundation, Phase 1 and 2, in compliance with Section 44-13 of the Groh Township Code of Ordinances. In addition, the Groh Township Board authorizes the Department of Community Development to advertise for bids for the demolition of this property and authorizes the township manager to enter into a demolition contract to enforce the demolition order dated January 3rd, 2024 for 20685 Meridian, Groseal, Michigan, 48138, parcel ID 73-014-01, 0190, 003, and furthermore, to assess the costs as a lien on the property in accordance with Township Code 44-14. Kyle.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Jameson.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That property will be demolished. All right, David.
Okay. Okay, this is we have a motion to approve a resolution for a dangerous building at 9205 Church, in Groseal, Michigan. Whereas the Township Dangerous Buildings Officer inspected the condition of the property at 9205 Church on November 11th, 2023, and as a result of this inspection, issued the property owner a notice of dangerous building dated December 21st, 2023, and whereas no action on the part of the property owner has occurred, and whereas a hearing under Chapter 44 of the Township Code of Ordinances occurred on January 3rd, 2024, at which the owner or owner's representatives of the property were not present, the hearing officer rendered a decision requiring the building to be demolished. Whereas no action has been taken by the property owner within the specified time frame allotted for compliance with the aforementioned mandate. Now therefore be it resolved, the hearing officer is requesting that the township enforce the demolition of the structure and foundation, Phase 1 and 2, in compliance with Section 44-13 of the Groseal Township Code of Ordinances. In addition, the Groseal Township Board authorizes the Department of Community Development to advertise for bids for the demolition of this property and authorizes the township manager to enter into a demolition contract to enforce the demolition order dated January 3rd, 2024 for 9205 Church, Groseal, Michigan, 48138, parcel ID 73-036-01-0266-003, and furthermore to assess the costs as a lien on the property in accordance with Township Code 44-14.
All right, Ross, take it away. You want
Yes.
Second.
to? Oh, okay.
I could show these pictures or not, but it's
Yeah, they're in our packet, aren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
okay. I mean, should I show them or?
Well, just, anybody have any questions?
No, but for the public, I think it's good to show them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was from, I think there's like my first or second month of working here, and I remember this. So, just kind of just really bad shape there. Ceilings falling. You couldn't access the basement. There was water in the basement as well. Complete fire hazard. Tim Thompson, and our dangerous buildings officer, said this is unfit for human occupancy. So,
Do you know how long it had been vacant?
So, somebody had actually been living there up until, I think, August of 2022. And so it's been vacant since around then. August or September, I believe.
Wow.
So.
Do you have an outside picture?
I do not. It should be in your packet. I just kind of picked a few of the interior for this one. The exterior is actually in pretty solid shape, but I mean, there's some algae and stuff growing on the outside, but
It's an older residence. I mean, if you're familiar with the building, it's the architecture and everything. Well, yeah, there is, Joe, actually, there is in the packet a good,
Yeah, I don't remember seeing, that's all right, I just
Yeah.
don't remember seeing the outside of this one.
They're not pretty.
yeah.
Not pretty.
Yeah, and even the outside, I mean, it needs to be clean, but at least the shingles and everything aren't falling off. But, yeah.
There's
inside.
foundational issues
Yeah.
with the water, yeah. So.
All right, any other questions?
Mr. Supervisor, really quickly, just to answer Trustee Debusset's question, the taxes are current on the Meridian property.
Okay.
This one is delinquent since 2022.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a resolution. Whereas the Township Dangerous Building Officer inspected the condition of the property at 9205 Church on November 11th, 2023, and as a result of the inspection, issued the property owner a notice of dangerous building dated December 21st, 2023, and whereas no action on the part of the property owner has occurred, and whereas a hearing under Chapter 44 of the Township Code of Ordinances occurred on January 3rd, 2024, at which time the owner or owner's representative of the property were not present, the hearing officer rendered a decision requiring the building to be demolished, whereas no action has been taken by the property owner within the specified time frame allotted for compliance with the aforementioned mandate. Now therefore be it resolved, the hearing officer is requesting that the township enforce the demolition of the structure and foundation, Phase 1 and 2, in compliance with Section 44-13 of the Groh Township Code of Ordinances. In addition, the Groh Township Board authorizes the Department of Community Development to advertise for bids for the demolition of this property and authorizes the township manager to enter into a demolition contract to enforce the demolition order dated January 3rd, 2024 for 9205 Church, Groh, Michigan 48138, parcel ID 73 036 01 0266 003, and furthermore to assess the costs as a lien on the property in accordance with Township Code 44-14. Kyle.
Aye.
Carl.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
Jameson.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
And I vote aye. That property will come down also. Thank you, Ross. All right. And lastly, we have a motion that the Groh Township Board hereby approves to declare surplus and sell parcel number 73-02702 0107 005 via the Township Realtor.
A second.
Thank you. This is a parking lot for last. Stay up there, Ross. I want because I want to make sure you answer the questions that were asked earlier. It's the DDA's property. It is behind Hoi Pan, behind the Hoi Pan restaurant. You drive in their driveway and drive back to it, which there was an easement for that. The lot is certainly not being used by us. I think possibly at one time before we got our Macomb parking lot, we may have had that for people to park, but it's a piece of property that does DDA no good. So DDA decided to put it up, and that's pretty much where we are right now. It has been used as a parking lot, although it is in somewhat of a disrepair, I would say, as a parking lot. So it's a piece of property that DDA does not need. That's why it's being sold. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if folks have seen, but Hoi Pan is for sale. Some people who are interested in the property would like to have that parking lot, to own that parking lot in the back, so there's a potential to sell that, whoever purchased Hoy Pan. And there's neighbors adjacent to the parking lot that are interested in the parcel as well. So we're just kind of put it out there and see who's interested. But as far as the funds would go into all property maintenance or any DDA activities.
So it would stay with DDA.
And it would probably help us, kind of clean up our parking lot right now.
Right.
We have a pretty big
Yeah.
project going on
Yeah,
there.
we could use that money for that. Kevin, quickly, did we answer all your questions on that?
Some of my questions, thank you.
What didn't we answer on that question you?
I'll come up at,
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, I guess maybe this is a bit of an unpopular opinion, but we're in a master plan process right now, and a big part of master planning is like land use and public access lands. So I would be a little reticent to sell it right now when we don't have the master plan together, which we may receive next year, and it's like, you really need a park at the east end of Macomb or a parking lot or something like that. So I realize you want to strike when the iron's hot, but I'm also a little bit concerned that we may be selling something we might need next year or in the future.
I would just, being familiar with it being on the DDA, it is a piece of property, being that it is basically landlocked. We have the easement from Hoy Pan to go get back to it. It's not a piece of property that is very useful. It certainly couldn't be used as a park because there's no parking. I mean, if it's a park, then there's going to be no parking for it. And I understand what you're saying, but I certainly don't think doing the master plan, first of all, this being a relatively small piece of property isn't going to fit into that, or that we should really stop doing our regular business because of the master plan, because we have a master plan that we're following right now.
And according to the DDA's 2020 master plans, there was nothing. There was no sort of reuse of that parcel, of that land. I think that there has only been ideas for like pop-up shops on that parcel, but the asphalt's completely not completely ruined, but it's in very bad shape.
It's in need of repair.
So I get your point for sure, but I think that because the proximity of it, you're right next to condos, right next to a home, and behind a business. There's not much really that you can do with that land aside from kind of
hopefully, like somebody who buys Hoy Pan wants that too, or the people.
Right.
The people surrounding that piece of property are really the market for that property.
Yep.
I'll just
go ahead.
I'll just say I feel like we have a few pieces of land like this where you can't really do anything with it. The only people that would be interested are maybe people right next door to it. So I'm just glad, Ross, that you found this opportunity at a good marketing point to try to do that. If I may, while the purchase will go to DDA, once it's on the tax rolls, a portion of that does come to us, right? Once the property's on the tax rolls.
Oh, yeah, under
whoever buys it.
Since it's still in the DDA zone,
Yeah.
the DDA would capture their.
Yeah, they would capture.
Capture some, but some still comes to us.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, the tax,
Yeah.
not the
Yes.
sale of the property, but
Right.
the taxes.
Correct. I see what you're saying, yes. You're right.
Guess I thought the
Township owned it?
Yeah, because of how old it is. So I see a document here from 1986. So, and I don't know exactly when Groh Seal founded its DDA. I imagine it was more recent than the 70s or 80s.
93
Yeah.
is when we were
So it was
established.
purchased in the 80s
Yep.
by Groh Seal Township.
When DDA came into being, then all the areas within the DDA zone became DDA. Yeah.
All right, Jim, where I got confused
Agree.
here,
Yes.
and I'm sorry, were you?
No, you're good.
No, when I was looking through this from that, but what hit me was that the owner, even though it says Groh Seal Township, is the DDA?
Yeah, because at the time, I think the document you're looking at.
It just
At
says
that-
owner and taxpayer information. That's
Yeah.
where I got it from.
Yeah, Yeah, I don't know how they have that on the tax records, but it is, I see what, yeah, Joe's saying on the this is the tax record here, I'm looking. Groseal
It
Township
was in the
as
packet
property
I'm getting
owner.
it from.
Yeah,
The packet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it would just delineate to whom receives the profits from the sale, right? If DDA has the deed, it's
Yeah, it's
DDA's
gonna
money.
be,
If
it's within the
township does, it's
DDA
general
zone, so
fund.
yes, it's going
Because
to
within
be.
the DDA TIF plan and within the DDA master plan, it includes that parcel
Yeah,
as
this-
DDA-owned property.
It will not go into the general fund.
That was my question.
Yeah, it
Where-
will
where's
not
it
go
going?
into the
That-
general fund, it will
It
go
is what
into,
it is.
into the DDA's.
It is what it
fund.
is. I'm just asking, because when I read the two,
Yeah.
I wasn't quite clear because of what it.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. I'm
And
good.
I wonder if, because at the beginning, DDA didn't exist originally.
Right.
And then when it went in, they just never bothered to change anything. But it still works. I mean, it works out, it is DDA property. Other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we have a motion that the Groseal Township Board hereby approve to declare surplus and sell parcel 73-02702, 0107-005 via the Township Realtor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. The motion does pass. All right. All right. After all that, we come to public comment on any topic, 3 minutes. Name and where you live, please. And I would like the young lady, who I can't, there she is. Yeah.
Appreciate it. So, I'm gonna try this again.
Okay.
Shelton, Bellevue Road.
Okay.
This is not on the agenda, but I'm hoping we can perhaps add this to an agenda, a future agenda, because I think there's a lot of residents who would like to see this addressed. Was it not on? Nobody's hearing me? Thank you.
We could hear you.
So there apparently are homes, resident-zoned homes, multiple now, more than one, that have been purchased by, I guess it's called Fresh Start, where they apparently charge approximately $7,000 per person to recover from trauma, neglect, abuse, and I'm taking this from their website. And they're using these homes as a live-in facility. So a lot of people have tried to get information on this, raised a red flag, but this has been going on for almost a year now. And residents have brought the concern up to, random people at the township. I've made inquiries. It's, again, a single dwelling home. And yet these facilities are popping up, and one of them is on, I think, Ferry and Meridian. There are apparently 2 others. So I just, I think it would be most helpful if we could perhaps get some information on this, because it's interesting with your lot split comment about single-family dwellings. So my concern would be, and I didn't think about it until the gentleman was speaking of it, but their concern is, are these really going to be condos? How would we know now? Because they're single-family dwellings. We've got these facilities popping up, right? So I've heard that the township is addressing this with their legal team, their lawyer. I think it would probably be most helpful, if at all possible, and if legal's involved, I know there's perhaps limited information you can provide, but it would be most helpful if we could maybe get status on this. I know that it's supposed to go to the Planning Commission. There seems to be some concern around that, about how people get notified. But it would be, I think, very helpful if we could somehow get a breakdown on how this is being addressed, perhaps timing on it, and how it can even continue to occur. The one was bad enough, but apparently 2 more. So my concern would be how many more can just crop up. And apparently they're calling them churches now to get around some things. Again, this is all rumor. I don't know.
Right,
This is how it goes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
you post this stuff on, and this is why I don't care for Facebook, and this is why I personally feel there needs to be another channel of proper information to avoid people like me having to come up here and go, hey, this is what I heard. I'd rather say, oh, this is what I know, not just what I heard. So that's my comment on that.
Thank you very much. And you're right about us, the township, looking into that. It is with legal. Derek, let's see if what we can put together to put out to the, if in fact at this point we can really say anything about it.
Yeah, we have to be very careful with that because, we can't treat petitions for special land use, notifications any differently than we use for one property versus another. There are notification requirements that we have to abide by, and we will abide by, but we have to treat everything equally. And we also cannot, put information out that might be.
Have to be careful with that. Thank you. Kevin?
Kevin Flavin, Park Lane. Back to the property that you're saying, is the deed in the township's name?
I haven't seen the deed. I haven't looked.
So we don't really know.
No, I haven't. Ross, do you?
Have we seen the deed?
Yes.
And?
The deed right here.
And the deed says?
The township, but the DDA has established borders within the township.
But I don't think that confers ownership, right? Like the Downtown Development Authority has an authority over area, but doesn't necessarily own any public property in that area just by virtue of its existence. Was the argument I was making earlier.
That's a perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we sold a piece of property that belongs to the township that you think belongs to the DDA. Wouldn't it make sense to, even though we've already voted on it, wouldn't it make sense to check with the attorneys to see who actually?
Kevin, we are. The attorney is involved in this.
Okay.
We don't do anything without involving that we don't involve the attorney.
So what did the attorney say?
We're going through this. It's not done yet.
Well, you voted tonight to sell it, correct?
Yes.
We would still have to vote to accept sale, I think, once that were to happen, right?
So you made a decision to sell something that you're saying belongs to the DDA, and
okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we certainly there's a number of things that we have to check out to put this up for sale because like the easement, et cetera. And that'll all be taken care of. We're not just going to sell it for nothing.
No. You made a decision as a board this evening.
Yeah, to sell it.
With the exception of Mr.
No, Jameson.
Right.
Yes.
So my point is, you made a decision to something you're not even sure who owns it. How can you do that? And we're not even sure the size of the property. The county shows 1.7 acres. We show 7 point something. And I'd like to know what the estimated value of the property is.
It does look pretty big on the plot map I pulled up.
And there are other properties adjacent to it that could be DDA properties, and I'm curious.
Ross, do you know of any property around that is a township or it's all owned by private?
Yeah, it's private individuals, and there's a parcel of land
Okay.
the township/DDA.
Ross,
I
please
think
come up.
what I want to make very clear is that whether it belongs to the township or whether you say it belongs to the DDA, it actually belongs to the taxpayer. It belongs to the taxpayers, and you need to get it right before you sell it. And I want to know also, what will the money be used for? And I'd like to know, as part of that Lions Park project, has that ever been voted on by the board to go ahead and do all the implementation of the plan for Lions Park?
Here's our DDA director.
So, yeah, like I said, the sale, the proceeds from the sale will go towards investing in the DDA area. If, in fact, that the property is owned by the DDA, which according to documentation, according to the DDA TIF plan and the master plan, it states it's owned by the DDA. So, and as far as any development plans at Lions Park, we are going out to bid to start construction of the concrete areas. All the final plan was approved by the DDA.
Was it approved by the board?
I'm not sure if it needs to be approved by.
Yeah, DDA is an
autonomous It's an autonomous. It's autonomous to the township.
It has its own rules, and it pretty much runs its area by itself.
So once again, my question is, the DDA can do anything they want in Lions Park without the approval of the board?
Anything is very broad. I wouldn't want to say that, but
this is
yeah.
where it's so important
Yeah.
to have a 5-year plan, so we know what the different commissions and committees and authorities, what they have planned for that tax year. How is the money going to be used? Because Lions Park, we've heard estimates of anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million to do all the work in Lions Park. And I think the taxpayer and the community and the people that live around there have a right to know what is going to happen with that property. And
well, it's all discussed at public meetings.
I know it is, but people don't all get to public meetings.
I understand
People
that.
don't all get to watch it on TV. People work. They're not retired like you and able to spend the whole day here doing that. We need to have an attorney, our attorney, the township's attorney, the taxpayer's attorney, to tell us what's going to go on there, and so that the taxpayer can make a decision whether they want to spend, how to prioritize what they're going to spend that money on. Are they going to spend $500,000 in a park in Lions Park? Do they want to spend $500,000 for a water feature in Lions Park? How is that money going to be spent? When we prioritize spending, that means, are we going to prioritize having an extra police officer that you removed in 2020 or 21?
Okay, that's enough. That's enough, and thank you for the insult. Other comments? Nothing. Okay, we'll move on to reports.
Brian's got.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian, you have a couple, I believe.
Yes, I do have a couple before I have a coughing fit again and see if we can get through these. All right, so this Sheila Boardman, Meridian. Dear Gross Seal Township Board, I hope this message finds you well. I would like to express my hope that the township considers focusing on the Meridian School property as a crucial part of the strategic plan. It has come to my attention that this area holds great potential for community development. One idea worth exploring is the possibility of the township purchasing the Meridian School property to benefit our community. Transforming this space into an athletic center could bring numerous advantages to our small island community. A community recreation center could serve as a hub for residents of all ages, fostering a sense of togetherness. The open space surrounding the center could be utilized for outdoor activities, sports, and events, enhancing the overall quality of life for Grosse Ile residents. Additionally, such a facility could host fitness programs, wellness classes, and cultural events, contributing to the health and well-being of our community. It may also attract visitors, boosting local businesses and creating a positive economic impact. This is simply one idea for the way this land could be used to benefit our island residents. I ask that the Township Board prioritizes this property as an area of focus, since the school district may no longer have use for it. I encourage the Township Board I encourage the Township Board to explore the potential of the Meridian School property for the betterment of Grosse Ile. I would hate to see yet another storage unit or subdivision. Your consideration of this proposal would undoubtedly contribute to the continued growth and vibrancy of our wonderful community. Thank you for your time and dedication to serving Grosse Ile. Sincerely, Sheila Boardman. And I have one more. Mary Bresnahan, Bellevue. At the last meeting, January 22nd, the board was contemplating the repair of the Island Athletics roof. The action got tabled. Since that meeting, I have found out that the township owns the building, but the airport manages it. I also found out that the lease agreement for the tenants, the township airport is accountable for the roof. It is not on the agenda for tonight's meeting, so hopefully the board has realized their responsibility to the tenants. However, I was bothered by some of the comments made by the board. It was questioned about the longevity and utilization of the building. It was even suggested if the building should be torn down. I wanted to share some thoughts and observations about this building. I have been going to the spinning class and cardio class on Monday and Fridays. It is such a convenience to have a 5-minute drive to get there. On the days that I don't go to the class, I walk or go for a bike ride, depending on the season. Since the January 22nd meeting, I started paying close attention to the utilization of this building. I live on Bellevue, and when I go for my walk, I usually walk to Groh Road and back. Last Tuesday, I noticed that the Island Athletics parking lot was filled. This past Saturday, there was so many cars in the parking lot that some were even parked on the lawn. I thought something was going on, so I went into the building and asked the lady at the desk. She said that people were playing tennis, pickleball, and using the workout area. Someone in the near distance heard us talking, and he said sometimes we even double up on pickleball. She said that the leak in the roof can sometimes prevent a court being used. Later that day, I had to go to the south end of the island, and once again, the parking lot was filled. This building is being utilized and needs the support of the township board. This community needs a recreation facility. How many of the township board members have gone to Island Athletics and viewed the facility? How many of the township board members have had a conversation with a tenant? We don't need another closed building on this island. The building has historic value, and the airport is receiving payments from the tenant. You won't get that from an empty lot. Please be more supportive of the future of this community. Thank you.
That's it.
That's all I got for public comment.
All right, thank you, Brian, and residents. Okay. All right, and you have both those, right? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'll get those from you. All right. Now we have our reports. Brian, do you have anything on the clerk's report?
I do. Just quickly. Absentee ballot voting is currently underway. Just over 2,400 absentee ballots have been mailed. Early voting starts this Saturday, February 17th, and runs for 9 consecutive days through Sunday, February 25th. The early voting site is located here at Township Hall in the first floor conference room, and early voting will run from 8 to 4 on all 9 days. The clerk's office will be open for election-related business Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, President's Day, this weekend, and Saturday and Sunday next weekend, while early voting is going on 8 to 4 each day. One other thing I wanted to just quickly touch on, because it's probably going to cause probably a Facebook post. Everyone on our permanent absentee voter list, absentee permanent ballot list, I should say. If they haven't returned the selection form, by law, we're required, since we have a local election, to send them a local ballot. So this week, 420 or so local ballots will be automatically mailed out to residents who have not responded to us via email or phone call or letter, with a response to wanting which ballot they want.
And the local ballot is just the
local millage.
It's not going to be the.
I know that could cause something, since it would look, maybe to some may look like we're trying to force people to vote on the millage. That's not the case. By law, we have to, since we have a local ballot, we have to mail out that local ballot to those voters because they're on a permanent ballot list and have asked us to mail them a ballot for every election going forward. So just wanted to make sure I got that out there, and before the ballots started hitting people's mailboxes. So that's all I got.
So we're ready when the calls start coming in.
Yeah, Lena's
as
ready.
To why that. Now, if they get that, can they bring it in and get a
Yes, if they get that, and then that triggers them to say, oh, wait, I don't want this, I want to vote for Democrat or Republican, yes, they can bring that in, we'll spoil it out, we'll get them a new ballot and have them on their way.
So all is not lost.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. David?
Thank you. For the month of January, Groh Township had a total of $24,077,000 invested, and these accounts generated a total of $95,064 in investment interest. The January investment report can be reviewed on the Treasurer's section at groh.com. Winter tax bill payments and late summer tax bill payments are still being accepted at Township Hall. Winter tax bills are due this Wednesday, February 14th. We've collected approximately 74% of the total winter tax roll and have sent distributions of the appropriate taxes to both Wayne County and the Groh School District. Tax deferments for the winter tax are still available, and you can apply for an extension of the winter tax due of February 14th. The forms are available until February 14th. After that, you cannot apply for an extension. And it's time, if you haven't, to register your pet. The 2024 pet licenses are available at the Treasurer's office. As of February 1st, the fee increased to $12. And that's it from on the Treasurer's office. The DPS Commission did not have a meeting in January, and our next meeting is tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock here in Township Hall. And the Airport Commerce Park Commission, their next meeting will be February 20th, which is a Tuesday at 6 o'clock. It normally would have been on Monday the 19th, but due to President's Day, it was moved to Tuesday. And some residents may have noticed there's some tree removal in process on the east side of the airport. And these are trees that are on the airport property that are being trimmed and or removed because they are interfering with the landing and takeoff approaches from the airport. And it's an FAA requirement that we keep that flight path open and cleared. And that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you, David. Trustee reports. Joe?
Good evening. I sit on the Police Commission. They meet the third Tuesday of each month right here at 7 p.m. And as you probably know, 2 weeks from tomorrow is the vote for the millage. All we ask is that you please get out and vote. And have a report from the McLeod Steel Group that Kyle and I sit on. But Kyle, would you mind during your report? Kyle's been working diligently on an issue there, and we're making some headway finally, but I think Kyle will be best to, if that's okay?
Yes, of course, thank you.
Okay, then I am done, Jim.
Oh, okay, Joe. Very good. Jameson?
Okay, good evening. I sit on the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. The Zoning Board of Appeals will be meeting the 27th of this month, and the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee should be meeting this Thursday. In the BPAC front, as most people are probably tracking, we recently passed the resolution to put in the Bellevue Connector Trail. And then going forward, in late March or early April, we're going to be doing some trail inspections to look at how we might improve it and make repairs on it. And then on kind of the bigger issue type stuff, a couple of things Margaret said reminded me of this, and that's businesses are buying single-family homes across America, and they're not just like, the local rental company. They're corporations, like multi-million-dollar corporations, and the fact the current inflated interest rates, which are supposed to cool the housing market, is actually not cooling the housing market. And the reason it's not is because the high interest rates are essentially just pricing normal Americans out of purchasing homes. It's not slowing down the businesses who don't use loans. At the current rate, by the year 2035, 45% of the American housing stock will be owned by businesses and corporations. So I don't know what we can do about that at the township level, but I think it's something we need to start thinking about. And then the sale of public property. I know today we voted 5-1 to sell the parcel behind Hoy Pan, which is fine. That's democracy. But I think one thing we need to start thinking about is in order to make any significant changes to our downtown strip or any of our waterfronts, we need to own property around them, right? We maybe even need to consider a policy of purchasing property around what little footholds we have. So I just wouldn't want to rush to selling a parcel that maybe could be something in the future. But I think everybody made some fair points. That one was pretty landlocked, right? So, and that concludes my comments.
Oh, thank you, Jameson. Carl?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I have the privilege of sitting on both Greenways Open Space as well as the Fire Commission. Regarding Greenways Open Space, two significant matters. We have done an inventory of the signs. Some of the signs are in good condition, some are in poor, and some need to be replaced. All of them definitely need a little bit of attention. That has been inventoried. The second thing is we are moving forward with the donation for the repairs of a pedestrian bridge in Meridian Woods. That is the part that is on the north side and that parallels Manchester and spans the drain. Very generous donor has come forward on that, and we are moving forward with that. We're also looking at some benches in the open space greenways properties. Second commission I sit on is the fire department. Two things that are worth noting with respect to the fire department are year-over-year calls have increased from 2022's 769 to 2023's 872. That is for both fire and EMS. Currently, we have 22 volunteers that are responding to those calls. If you look at the number of calls and you look at the number of people that we have, that ratio is just getting tighter and tighter, where we're doing more with the people that we have. 100+ calls and a change is a significant amount for a demand to be put on these people over the morning, afternoon, and night calls that they have to make. To that end, we do have a total of 5 new applicants this year that have been in training, and those are it's exciting numbers because that's more than we've had in a number of years. The department is making a real focus to bring on new people. I would like to, at this point, take time to recognize some of the people in the department that do this, and I want you to think about the names. These are your neighbors. These are probably some of your friends, maybe some of your relatives, but all of them live on Groseal and they do a terrific job. The following people have less than 5 years of service in the department, so they are your next generation of firefighters. The people that are in here for 25, 30, 35 years, very low numbers, whereas 20 years ago, those were some significant portion of the staff and the volunteer fire department. But I offer the following people who have served for 5 years or less: James Absher, Carl Dickinson, Nicole Gall, Carl Graves, Andrea Kasaborski, Marino Macia, Matt Nelson, and Jeff Will. That's your next generation of firefighters that are going to be here. I do also want to take the time to recognize those that have been here longer than 5 years, and some of these numbers are outstanding. And I'd ask you, when you see them at the hardware or CVS or Kroger, at an athletic event or wherever you worship, think about what they do. Looking at John Camilleri, Chief, 17-plus years. We look at Ted Copley, 6-plus years. Chris Davenport, 13-plus years. Ken Gape, an astounding 39 and a half years as a firefighter for Groh. James Gatt, 7-plus years. Jake Gonzalez, 5-plus years. Andrew Huber, 11-plus years. Jimmy Kovich, 25-plus years. Tim Lorraine, 18-plus years. Chad Miller, 13-plus years. Lenny Pizzaris, 5-plus years. Bob Roscoe, 11-plus years. And Carolyn Sartor, an incredible 44 and a half years of service to this island. When you see them, thank them. Take the time to reach out and thank them for what they do, for the training they go through, and the years and years of service, whether it is 2 p.m., 2 a.m., hot, cold, dry, or driving snow. They're there. Please take the time to say hello and thank them for the service that they do. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Carl. Kyle?
Thank you. I sit on the Planning Commission, which meets on an as-needed basis. As of now, there's a proposal to meet on March 20th, Wednesday. So look out for that meeting. Some of the issues discussed tonight might come up there, or if folks want to give public comment to the Planning Commission, I know I'm always grateful to hear it. I just want to react quickly to what Carl did. That was very powerful reading those names out, Carl, and the years of service. It brought to mind a lot of faces and folks that you see not always at the best time in life. I'll say they came out just a little while ago to help out a close family friend of mine, and were very, very professional, friendly, did an incredible job, as we know them all to do. So hearing that was really powerful. I also want to speak to the folks that showed up tonight to give public comment. I know I'm always wondering or always asking folks to come in, make their views heard. I thought people did a really good job of that tonight. Folks from Jewel Colony, Margaret Shelton on the Fresh Start issue, Kevin Flavin as he usually does, but also the two that gave public comments through email, Sheila Boardman, I believe, and Mary Bresnahan. I know Mary likes when you specifically acknowledge her concerns. I just want to thank her for specifically mentioning the use of island athletics. That is something that I've heard from others too, so I thought that was a really valuable perspective to bring in. And yes, so I know there's a lot of folks working to make sure that stays the way it is and that roof gets repaired and everything. I will. I'm trying to think. So there's a couple things I want to bring up tonight. The biggest one, Joe asked me to report on the former McLeod site. There was a McLeod advisory group meeting last week. Those are public. You can watch the recordings. I recommend people do. They're actually really useful public forums, I feel, because you have a lot of different officials in one place that you learn a lot from. Officials from Trenton, officials from Riverview, officials from Groh, EPA, Eagle, and so yeah, it was a good meeting. Ahead of that meeting, Eagle finally put out an alert around the former McLeod site about something I've discussed with this board going back to spring of last year. There is a caustic basic substance, calcium hydroxide is what Eagle has identified it as, leaching off the property and into the McGuagan Creek. And after they rebuilt the railroad there, is leaching off across the property onto the other side into a public roadway and also down into the public creek on that side. It's been an issue that I've brought up. Well, actually, to be very clear, others brought it up first in the spring of last year. When nothing was being done, I started bringing it up. I started showing up at the property, taking pictures, asking Eagle, asking others what was going on. And so folks know, after that alert came out, I saw lots of news articles. Detroit Free Press, Detroit News actually covered it before the alert came out, and they've been very good on it. But Channel 7 showed pictures of it, and I'm seeing a lot of people being like, "Hey, have you heard about this?" And my response has been, "Yeah, we've been on this since spring of last year." The most important thing I want people to know is it takes a lot of work to get something like that recognized, clear responsibility assigned, a plan in place, and I'm happy that Eagle has finally done that. There's clear responsibility assigned to the Riverview Trenton Railroad, a Maroon family company. They're supposed to come up with a plan to fix that leak going into the McGuagan Creek, which I'm really grateful for. I think February 16th was when they're supposed to come up with a plan. Riverview Trenton Railroad did put out a statement to Channel 7 News saying, that they acted after Eagle asked them to the Friday before last. But that they're still looking into whether they are fully responsible or not. I thought Eagle gave a very good presentation in the McLeod Advisory Group meeting, showing very clearly why this substance is migrating from their property. I can go into all detail about it, but it used to be a river basically under, and they filled it all in, and the fill is more porous than what was there before, which we all know we have a lot of clay soils here. So what's happening is that river is just still a river underneath the property, and when they cut that railroad through the road, it makes the river go all the way through and coming out the other side. So Mark Messina at Eagle is the one that, he's like a hydrologist, this is what he does, and he's the one that explained all this, actually walked the property with the current owners, which is why they finally, I think, took responsibility, did what they needed to do. But yeah, I think it's disturbing, obviously, to see something like that and see the news about it, but I'm really happy that there's finally a responsibility assigned and a motion and a process in place to get that addressed. So that's McLeod. I also wanted to speak a little bit on an article that came out about Hennepin Point, which is owned by BASF. I was just informed before this meeting that BASF may be working on a public statement on that to provide to us and the public, I assume. So I'll hold off on some of what I'd hope to say on that tonight. But I will say, just again, what's happening there is actually pretty related to what's happening to McLeod in the sense that the substance that's of concern is also a caustic substance. What people need to know about that is a caustic substance isn't necessarily like a heavy metal that stays in the environment forever. When it touches water or something like that, it dissipates over time. So it's not as big a concern as a heavy metal. But still, it's a concern. It's something that can burn you if you touch it, or the concern that was brought up in the article was possibly it getting into air, into people's lungs. I have reached out to folks about that and actually looked at it with the McLeod site too. I'm not too concerned about that. From my understanding, and from also just looking at satellite pictures of Hennepin Point, it's very covered with vegetation. So I believe that there's very little that's getting in the air as dust right now that would be of concern to any nearby residents. But I still might want to ask either BASF or Eagle to maybe put some air monitors there just for a little bit when there's a north-facing heavy wind, just to see if they pick up anything. I don't think they will, but I think it would put people at ease if that were to happen. The thing I really am looking into on Hennepin Point, though, is according to the article that came out, there was a plan that was submitted to Eagle in 2006 that was rejected as to how to clean that property up. I don't know what happened after that. I know BASF has continued work on there since 2006 to try to clean it up. I have learned since that there is some talks with Bob Burns from the Friends of the Detroit River with cleaning up some of the leachate that's going into the river there that's more recent than 2006. So there is work that's happening there is what I want to say, and I'm looking into that and what Eagle's doing specifically and what the plans are there, and we'll try to get answers on that as quickly as I can. So that's me. I will leave it there for tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Derek.
Good evening, Supervisor and members of the board. Just one quick item tonight. I know there's been a lot of conversation on social media, email about the DTE power plant demolition.
That's okay.
The two smokestacks are scheduled for demolition on March 1st at 7 o'clock in the morning. Hopefully everybody's received some sort of notification from DTE with regards to that. There is going to be a virtual town hall meeting on Thursday, February 22nd at 6 p.m. Most of you should have received an email with that information with regards to how to join that meeting via Zoom and other methods. If you have not, feel free to reach out to Groh Township and we can provide you with that information. So I know DTE, from having the conversations that I've had with them and that they've had with others, that they want to try to get as much information out about this as possible so that there aren't any surprises and everybody understands what is happening over there and when. So with that, I would like to defer a little bit of time to the finance director. She had a couple of minor updates that she wanted to mention. So if you don't mind, I'd give her the floor.
Good Good evening. I just have a few items I wanted to share with you. So it's been confirmed that for our audit for the March 31st, 2024 year end, we are going to continue with Yo and Yo CPAs. And their estimated fees are in line with what they were 2 years ago. They were higher in this past year with the prior finance director retiring and there being a little bit of a gap before I started, but we're both looking forward to things being back to normal and a good, clean audit. And you should have an engagement letter coming probably in March or April. Also, in the end of January, I gathered together and sent out some solicitation letters for insurance brokers for our employee benefits. I know 2 years ago, the township contracted with a new, different broker, kind of on an emergency basis, and with the finance director retiring, there wasn't really any opportunity until now to see what else is out there. My experience has been that there are some firms that I think can really bring some fresh ideas, great ideas for our employee benefits and be very cost effective. So those bids are due this week on Thursday, and we'll have a committee that will review them, and we'll have interviews on February 28th and bring the recommendation to the board on probably the March 11th board meeting. And we're in budget time now, so all the department heads have their budget worksheets to work on. They are due February 21st back to me. We are having our meetings with the department heads with their budgets on February 26th and 27th, between 9 and 1 each day, and on February 29th as well. Then with the plan being that we would have the public hearing for the 2024-2025 budget on the March 11th meeting. We're looking at having a work session, possibly the first week of March, to go over the budget more in detail. This would also include some amendments for the 23-24 year. And then the goal would be to have the budgets adopted at the March 25th board meeting. And I think I covered everything.
Teresa, quick question. The people you're looking at, you say employee benefits. What benefits are you looking at? When you say employee benefits, I mean, are you talking pension?
It is not. It's not pension. It's insurance benefits. So health insurance, the administration of the health insurance, dental, vision, life, things with workers' comp, with employee assistance programs.
So basically everything but pension?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any questions for Teresa?
Just a quick comment, and Teresa, this applies to you and Zaid as well as Ross. When we have somebody new step into a position, and yours is as the chief financial officer, very, very important, I've seen a seamless transition, and I think you have done a terrific job. I cannot thank you enough for doing it. I know that you and Ann go back a long ways and presumably maintain a good relationship, but I just want to say thank you. You came in and you're now stepping into the budget, and I understand you've got a great background, but I just wanted to personally say thank you. With respect to Ross, I feel that the questions that Ross was able to field tonight, just absolutely spot on. I think that he has been a real addition to the township. And Zaid, while he's only been here about a half a year, I had people actually come up to me and say, Rec is really doing well. I was having breakfast, and the Lutons came in and said, the new guy at Rec is really taking care of business. We have something that we bring up to him. So I just want to say publicly thank you to you and to Ross and Zaid for stepping in and doing it so seamlessly. And it's like you've been here 10 years. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. It's greatly appreciated, and it's great. You know, we have a great team to work on with, and everyone's relatively new too, even in the police and fire. Also, those transitions are pretty new as well, and everyone has been great to work with. So, and it's my pleasure, and I enjoy coming to work every day.
Always important. Thank you for that, Teresa. Are you, anything else, Derek, or are you?
All set, thank
all
you very
set?
much.
Okay. This has been a long meeting. I just want to touch on one topic, or one item, and Derek, if you would, just put this on the overhead. What he's putting up is a medical ID bracelet that we received a number of these from the Senior Alliance. We are going to give them out to our seniors. A senior being defined as someone over 60. And it's you download an app, which it can be Android or Apple. You can get the app, fill in your information on that. And do you want to talk?
No, sir.
Are you okay?
I'm admiring this.
Well,
I'm admiring
well,
this.
that's
This is
good, but I'd like to get going. Anyway, you put your information in, and the beauty of it is, and Derek, I'm going to ask you to run up there and take it out of the packet and just flip it over. The beauty of having this is that if you go to your doctor, thank you. Or if you have an emergency at home and the fire shows up, all they have to do is scan the QR code there. Your account will pop up, and all that information with your that you put in, and you can put in as much or as little as you want, but you can put in all your meds. You can put the different illnesses down. That will pop up. Tell that EMT or the doctor what you're going through, so that they can take care of you in a much better fashion by knowing that. So we have about 50 of these to hand out. You can get them at the cashier. They will ask you a little bit of information. We have to make. They had asked. Senior Alliance did ask us to gather a little bit of information. I think it's 3 questions, and that's it. But they're pretty neat thing to have, especially for our seniors. So again, they'll be at our cash. You can pick them up at the cashier's station, and that is all I have.
So,
Yes.
Kyle, I don't know if you want to pool funds and buy some for the rest of our board members here with me, or
I actually got one.
I'm just messing with
No,
you guys. I love you guys. I'm sorry.
I did, I filled it out, and I had Chief Camilleri scan the QR code with his phone. And he was amazed at, your medications, important surgeries, your date of birth, your blood type, information that EMTs, paramedics, the hospital, information that they need to know if they're going to treat you if you're not.
So there's a similar one that's like My Runner ID, which is probably the same company that does it, but it's good information, right?
It's good information.
Especially
It
if
makes
you're in a
the-
car accident or
yeah.
something,
And that's where it really comes in. If you're not, if you can't respond to them, they can get all your information. But again, in filling it out, it's as much information as you want to put in. So if you don't want something in there, you don't have to do it. But yeah, again, you can get them at the cashier's station.
You qualify.
Motion to adjourn?
Support. Support.
Oh, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. We're all looking for that.
Sorry, that really.
All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Realize that was for real.
Jameson, did I?
You did, yeah. Actually.